And good morning, everyone. Pam Cook on News Talk 1480 WHBC, and very excited today to have a chance to speak with Mike Crawford, who is the chairman, president, and CEO of Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. And we've not had this chance to talk to Mike, and glad we have the opportunity today. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Great, Pam. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. I'm glad that we can have a chance to share with the listeners a little bit more about Hall of Fame Village and the progress and all of the things that are happening there, because it's a really big, important thing, as you know, for this area. And, you know, people always have a lot of questions about it that I don't know always get answered. And this will be their chance to listen in and find out the things maybe that they're wondering of what's coming up, you know, because we see such great things over there happening right now. Yeah. Before we get to all of that stuff, though, I want to say let's meet Mike Crawford. Let's talk a little bit about you, because you're an Ohio native. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am. I grew up in a small town, Willard, Ohio, just an hour and a half away from here. You know, pretty normal Midwestern childhood. Went to Bowling Green State University for my undergraduate work. Got my MBA from Notre Dame. And then, you know, how funny life can give you some twists and turns sometimes. I had a good friend who asked me to come down for a summer and work for the Walt Disney Company. And so I did. And what's not to love about Orlando, Florida, or working at Disney? And so, you know, 25 years later, I had lived in Orlando, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Shanghai, and really had a special chance to do some things for that company and with that company that I'll never forget, and helped me build, you know, a skill set and sort of a resume that I think we can leverage here in Canton, Ohio. It's great to return home. I did take a 4-year sabbatical from Disney and joined Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts as the president of their company. And again, you know, traveled the world, really developing great new hotels and resorts and branded residential developments for what I would consider to be probably the most premier luxury brand in the business. And when I was offered an opportunity to come back to Ohio, and I was told about this, what was then the project, as it was referred to here in Canton, it was really exciting because, you know, I'm a huge football fan, Browns fan, grew up that way, love Notre Dame football as well. And so, you know, having the opportunity to build a company on, you know, the power of professional football and working with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and now the NFL Alumni Association, it was just exciting. So great to finally be here, and, you know, the chance to have an impact on a part of the country that I'm quite fond of and still have family that live in, pretty rare in a professional career.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about my career too. I have been here 32 years on the radio, and it never feels like work. And I'm sure it's like that for you too. I will say though, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, so I'm a Steeler fan.
Well, you had a good weekend then.
I did, yeah.
You didn't move much, but that's okay.
It's okay. I'm not a bandwagon jumper, you know. I was born and raised. My dad, you know, had season tickets at Forbes Field, for crying out loud. So that's kind of the way that was. But
well, our president of operations here, Mike Levy, who used to be the president of the Canton Charge, you know, he and I had a friendly wager on the game, and of course he won as well. He's a big Pittsburgh fan, so.
Good. Well, you know, I mean, and one of the questions I was going to ask you is, you know, when you came to Canton and you had the project, like you said, in the back of your mind, what was your first thoughts? What were you thinking when you assessed the whole thing?
Well, look, I think, you know, as I said, it's pretty rare that you get a chance to build something that pays tribute to the greatest game in the country, surrounding the place that, you know, houses the greatest to ever play that game. And so for me, it was really exciting. And, you know, I've done this in multiple places, a few places overseas as well. And the chance to have, you know, an impact on a community and a region like this was, you know, very compelling and what brought me here. I will say when I came in, I thought the project at the time was probably a little ambitious. We were talking about building almost $1 billion worth of new assets all at the same time. And, you know, having done this a few times, you never build the church for Easter Sunday, and you never build a project complete. And so what we had to do is sort of assess, we already had, a great set of assets with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, our National Youth Football and Sports Complex, and we had acquired a lot of land. And that's a luxury that a lot of developers don't have. And so we quickly assessed what would create a destination. So we had assets that were hosting a lot of events, but what would give people the reason to come here and stay and play and be a part of this wonderful community here in Canton for a period of time. And so we scaled back and we took what was going to be all done at one time and we broke it into phases. And I think now we have, a really good strategic plan for development of phase 2. As you know, we broke ground on that a few weeks ago with the Constellation Center for Excellence. That's the first asset on site. But just as importantly, we acquired the McKinley Grand Hotel. Now will be a Hilton Doubletree in downtown Canton, the only hotel in downtown Canton. And we felt strongly that, the connection between the city and what we're doing here had to be very strong. So when you look at, reinvigorating that asset, and I'm telling you, this is going to be a beautiful new hotel. Having come from the business, it'll be a fantastic asset for downtown Canton that will attract visitors and give them a fantastic place for them to stay. Combine that with Centennial Plaza, which is about to open, and what we're doing here, and you have a really nice set of assets that will allow guests to come and stay and play and really be entertained with everything going on in the city. And there's a lot more than just us, of course, in the city, and I talk about that all the time. But, to really get back to your question, I think for me, it was, again, the opportunity to create something very special in a part of the country in Ohio where I have a lot of passion for.
And I, when I hate to be the person who always says, oh, back in the day, but back in the day, that hotel, which is one block from the radio station, was the center of everything downtown. People were there. They were having events. There were weddings. The NFL held parties there. And,
Sure.
it was a really important place. So that's great to see that being, reinvigorated and all of that. And I look at the project and I say, there are people in the community, and I don't want to, put a tag on it, but we look at the sordid past of the project when it began, and the people of this community not trusting that it actually was going to get done or that it actually is even going to move forward. How do you give those people belief? What do you say to them to let them know that you can trust us? We're going to get this done for your community.
Well, first, I would just recognize that they have the right to feel that way. We've had in football parlance, we've had a couple false starts. Listen, I think all I can do is take one step at a time. The things that I say we have to do. And just like anything else in life, when you do the things you say, people tend to then believe you the next time you say something. And so you have to earn that trust. I realized that coming in, it was part of what was explained to me by the then shareholders that, we needed to build credibility in the community. And I would just say that for me, it has been amazing, from the mayor to the city council, the county commissioners, certainly state senator and many others, community foundations. Everyone has been so supportive. And I'm not just talking about with words, they've really stepped up in action as well. There's several that I go to for counsel here to, get some perspective on how this has evolved. And I listen to that very carefully. And so, we're trying to be pragmatic in our approach. The first step, really was getting this hotel in a place where it will be finished and open, and it will be. And it will be in a very short period of time. And I'm hopeful in the next week, we're going to announce that opening, and it won't be very long after that, I promise you. And it's going to be absolutely stunning when people walk into it. And it will become that hub again, I promise. The restaurant and the bar, and we're building an outdoor patio to engage the street and the rooms. Everything will be absolutely fantastic. But, we have to do this a step at a time. We can't forget that we're in the worst global health pandemic the world has ever seen. And so, it's a difficult financial environment. Creditors and lenders aren't necessarily stepping up and lining up to lend into leisure tourism assets right now. And yet we were successful in taking our company public, and we were successful in getting a loan for the hotel, and we were successful in, the Constellation company believing in what we were doing and our plan so much that they expanded their sponsorship to help us start that building. So, one step at a time. You're only as good as your last at bat. I know that's not a football reference, but we have to make people believe. And listen, I'll tell you, we're not going to be perfect at this, but we sure do have a great team. We've put together a team that is so committed. And what I love about our team is they have a personal connection. We have not only gotten folks that are experts at what they've done, and hired people who have subject matter expertise that will really help this company stand up and grow. They have family that live here. They were either from here, their wife or husband was from here. And that's when you have that personal connection to the community. I always joke around, I see a lot of things get written about me, in the paper or, on chats, websites, and I have a good laugh about those. The only people that I really have to answer to are my family. And when my mom calls me and says, your aunt keeps asking when this thing is going to get done, that's no pressure. So, we have that on our minds all the time.
And you know what, that's something when I came here many moons ago, that I noticed. It was unbelievable, the ownership that this community takes in everything. I mean, from the festival itself to the Hall of Fame to everything that's going on. Our listeners take ownership in this radio station, and believe that what happens is part of what they are. It's the fabric of the community. Let's move our conversation to what's happening around the Hall of Fame itself. Is the stadium done? Is everything that needs to be done there done?
It's not. And so that's part of phase 2. And you'll see, I'm hopeful, knock on wood, in the very near future, we're going to finish the east end zone. We've ordered a brand new scoreboard for down there as well. And we've got a plan that I think really will be interesting and compelling versus just putting more seats down there, something that will allow our fans to socially engage, enjoy the environment, something that will be really attractive to a younger generation, I think. And frankly, something that a lot of stadiums and arenas are now doing with social areas and areas that create an environment to enjoy any number of things: football game, concert, festivals, etc. So we certainly need to finish that. We also need to finish our National Youth Football and Sports Complex. We have more fields we're going to build out there, and we hope to break ground on those before the end of this year. We have some assets we want to have out there, more concession opportunities, locker areas, facilities that are going to make coaches and players or folks that are out there to participate even more comfortable. The Center for Excellence has already broken ground, so you'll start to see that building really come out of the ground over the next several months. And our goal is to open that if I had a perfect world, I'd say before enshrinement of next year, more realistically, maybe a month or so after. But it'll certainly be a building standing there by that time. And then we continue to do all the site formation. As you know, there were many people that lived around the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We purchased their homes from them, and very respectfully have tried to help them move on, maybe even to a different life. And now we're clearing the area so that we can build, and that's an important thing. We're doing that in a very respectful manner. There's still a lot of people that live around here, and we want to be careful not to disrupt their lives any more than possible, and give them a great place that they can come and visit and walk to and enjoy as well.
Yeah, I know that's probably a really tough part of it. Again, because of the history and the ownership of that area, especially, and the memories that people have from living there. How has that relationship been with the county in, working through getting that land and taking care of all of that over there around the hall?
Well, I said it earlier, I can't commend enough the commissioners like Bill and Janet and Rich and Richard Regula. And I think, the whole county has been very supportive. I think everyone understands that while this has had some stops and starts, that ultimately we need to finish this and we need to make it successful. And so while there can be some fatigue from the past, I do believe people are very energized to help support, even in a really difficult environment. And so, we had the land bank here in the city help us with some funding to the first private-public relationship to help do the site clearance and purchase the homes, or I should say level the homes. And I think, that was an important step for us. But I also think that there has been a lot of support from the community because they realize what this can mean to everybody's lives. As you look at a rendering here of the phase 2 and phase 1 of the destination, not only a place for people to come from out of Canton, but people from within the city to be exposed to really different and unique brands, events, partnerships that otherwise wouldn't probably be here. And so we're very honored to have that opportunity to bring those kinds of new brands and assets to the city.
And I think, I speak for Canton and the people here and us here at the radio station, because we've been here, well, it'll be almost 100 years, which is an interesting thing. We all embrace all of this because this is nothing but good for everybody. And I think that that's important, but we also want the people who are involved in the village to embrace us as well. I think that's a really important thing, that it's a give and take, and it goes back and forth. And I see that from you. Yeah,
look, it takes a village to build a village, for sure. I didn't, I live here. I moved here. I bought a home here. I want this for my community just as much as anybody else. I do, and I've seen the economic impact that a destination like this can have on a community. I saw that in Orlando. I saw that in California. Job creation, both directly and indirectly. We already employ quite a few people directly, but we also employ a lot of the community businesses to help us with, things like landscaping. Enviroscapes is great at helping us do that, and other aspects of our business. We're very focused on creating that. So uplift for those companies. And I think, we've got to realize that we have to be good community citizens first. We have to be respectful and partake in the community and give back. And we intend to do that. As we continue to build and grow, of course, our resources and our capabilities continue to grow as well. But we've tried to do many things along the way to help support everybody. And that's a big part of who we have to be.
Well, it's an exciting time, no doubt about that. And I know the pandemic is kind of, put a little bit of a wet blanket on it, but hopefully we'll continue to plug away. And we appreciate you coming on today with us, and keep in touch. We will continue to stay in touch with you and hope that you'll give us periodic updates, and we can have you back on very soon.
Listen, happy to do it, Pam. Thank you for having me. And amazing 100 years. The NFL or pro football just celebrated their centennial as well. So you guys were right in lockstep.
We are.
Really, thank you. Appreciate the chance to give everybody an update.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Take care.